The ritual of the daily commute begins innocently enough. Turn on the ignition, slip your car into gear, and ease out onto the roadway. But by the time the average driver has reached his or her destination, it is very likely they'll be cut off, tailgated, honked at, or otherwise had their very lives put in jeopardy. Welcome to the wild and dangerous world of driving in Boston.
Boston drivers are the worst drivers in the world.
They just cut in front of you.
Darwinism, in effect, survival of the fittest. And if you can, push yourself in front, then you got it going.
Here's the deal on Boston drivers and on driving in Boston. There is an absolute spirit of lawlessness in this area. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone is the most important person in the world. The streets are also so poorly marked that out-of-town drivers stop like that, causing unbelievable numbers of rear-end collisions. When people talk about the Boston driver, they're not talking about drivers just from Boston. Most of the drivers come from within 128, spill into town, and create havoc. Most of the drivers, the good ones and the bad ones, are you and me. Take 1/4 of the people of Massachusetts, funnel them into the narrow, twisted streets of the city each day, season them with a good dose of fast-paced lifestyle, and you have the recipe for reckless driving in Boston. Things moving a little too slowly on the interstate? No problem. The breakdown lane works just fine. No right turn on red? Hey, nobody's looking anyway. Nowhere to park? Easy. Leave it right in the lane. Pedestrian entering the crosswalk? Just speed up to get through first.
It's utter anarchy, in the sense of without laws. You don't care that there's a yellow light. The question is, can you race through before it gets to red? It's a peculiar phenomenon. It's that people simply don't have an internal sense of control about this particular set of laws and rules like they do most. There's no negative social sanction for being a traffic scofflaw because too many people are traffic scofflaws.
Disregard of the rules of the road contributed to 39 traffic-related deaths in the city so far this year. After years of lax enforcement, Boston police are finally beginning to crack down. Though torn between traffic enforcement and more serious crime, officers issued 22,000 tickets for moving violations in the first half of this year, more than 5 times the number given in the same period last year. Officer David Sadler is out on the front line.
People feel that, I'm not breaking the law. I'm not committing a murder. I'm not committing a rape. It's just like, quote, a minor traffic infraction. But, a minor traffic infraction can lead into many serious problems. Pedestrians get struck by cars because of minor traffic problems. People get run and killed for minor traffic problems. So, it can escalate. A minor traffic problem becomes something major.
But it will take a lot more than tickets to break Boston's culture of chaos on the roads. Do you need more police personnel to seriously do a job on traffic?
Well, I think from our standpoint we have to do a better job at it, have to do increased enforcement, but we've done that in the past. I think if I had my druthers, I think the area I'd pay attention to most is the education component. I think we almost have a reputation we feel we have to live up to. In Boston, yellow means speed up and red means good luck. So, we have to educate people that we're serious about traffic enforcement, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
So now the police department deploys cadet trainees to cite violators at downtown intersections. Tracing license plates, they issue tickets against the owner of the car. About 25% of those ticketed have appealed, claiming they weren't driving, and their cases have all been thrown out by the courts. But 3/4 of those cited have paid up, and the police are planning to expand the program.
People readily disobey traffic laws, and as many people as I can get out there and bring it to our attention, we're going to do that.
What about the argument that traffic enforcement is just a hidden tax?
If I want to be interested in raising revenue, I can give my people tag books, and they can do far more revenue hunting in that way. That's not what we're about. What we're about is saving lives. That's part of our job. And I think the sheer numbers point to the need for vigorous traffic enforcement in the city.
Like Boston, New York City is not known for its safe and courteous drivers. It is one of the most dangerous cities in the world to be a pedestrian, with regular traffic fatalities. But the city is fighting back. Cameras have been installed at 18 dangerous intersections to identify cars that run red lights. Violators are ticketed and fined. The pilot project has already had a dramatic impact on driving safety in the city.
It has had, we think, a significant impact. We've seen now actually a reduction in the number of violations by about 20% at these locations since the inception of the program. The support from the program from the public, as well as the elected officials and the media, has been terrific. The program is a winner.
Here's how it works. When a light turns red at one of the intersections, sensors in the pavement trigger a camera if a car appears to be running the light. 2 pictures are taken in rapid succession showing the car entering the intersection illegally. The film is developed, and workers at a processing center zoom in on the license number, pull up the registry information, and mail out a $50 citation along with the photos. No one is identified in the pictures, and no claim is made as to who might have been actually driving the car. Like a parking ticket, the car's owner is liable.
Initially, there were major concerns about whether we were Big Brother. We have done it in such a way as to protect privacy, handle those concerns, I think, very well. I think people, at the end of the day, realize that lives are involved. And as long as we're not being intrusive as to the personal identity of the individual, and that we're really going after the automobile, and whoever owned or had the car registered to them, that they're the ones who pay a monetary penalty, I think that's the line that people will accept. I think if you go past that line, you will run into problems.
In just 2 years, New York has issued 268,000 red light camera citations. 80% are paid immediately. Of those who appeal, less than 5% win. The proof is in the picture. The program's impact has been so dramatic that pedestrian fatalities in New York City are at their lowest level in 85 years. Plans are in the works to add as many as 100 more cameras citywide. In Massachusetts, a bill has been filed to put cameras on the poles here as well. Not everyone is happy with that prospect.
It's absolutely absurd to stick a camera out there, and I don't think anybody's going to convict anybody. It's going to once again take away a day of somebody's life to go in there and have to protest it and have to tell I didn't do it. I mean, you tell the camera I didn't do it. And I personally will take large stones from the beaches of Massachusetts and throw them at every camera and break every one of them wherever they are. I promise you that'll happen.
He will need only a couple of stones to get started. If the bill makes it out of the legislature sometime next year, only 2 red light cameras will be set up as a pilot project. Additional legislation will be required before more cameras can be installed. There are a few problems when it comes to dealing with local traffic and congestion. One is that stop signs mean very little. Red lights mean nothing at all, and jaywalking is a part of life. Yet everyone loves to blame the police and the lack of traffic control when they can't get across town in about 2.5 minutes. But guess what? Here in Massachusetts, driving poorly is looked upon as almost a civil right. It's become a state of mind. Enforcement is only a partial solution to the problem. The police could marshal hundreds of cadets and install cameras on every other corner. But until Boston's drivers change their own attitudes and behavior, the rules of the road will continue to take a back seat.
The speeding, running red lights, failure to yield to pedestrians and crosswalks, all of these are behaviors that not only put the drivers at risk, but put the general public at risk. And it's unreasonable to expect that we're going to have enough police power to stop every one of these infractions. We really have to encourage the public to be their own policemen and to watch out for each other and to discourage these kinds of behaviors that put all of us at risk.
Many feel it is futile to try and change the way people drive in Boston. But judging by the crackdown on drunk drivers and the acceptance of seatbelts, attitudes can change. Public education is a keen weapon in the state's efforts to curb bad drivers. If you have 5 moving violations in 3 years, your driver's license will be taken away. You have to complete a day-long driver retraining class before you will get it back. The class is designed to get at the root of the driving problem in the state, the mindset of the individual driver.
Showing you how many times within a given day that you use that license. I'm going to just give a couple. It's 8 hours of intensive work that you are slowed down to think about safety issues. What are your responsibilities and what types of things are you going to have to do to keep that license? There is a system. We have rules of the road. That's the system right there. The reality is, as motorists, we are expected to indeed, once we're given that privilege, we've got the responsibility that goes hand in hand with it. And when we don't meet up to those responsibilities, they can yank the privilege.
It's a beautiful day here in Boston. You know, courtesy plays such an important part of driving. Oh, go ahead, miss. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful boy. I like to be courteous. I think it helps alleviate a lot of the stress and tension that goes with driving. Go ahead, sir. Tommy. Why, thank you. But a lot of drivers, especially those of big American cars, they like to intimidate. They think this is going to get them somewhere. I don't believe in this kind of thing myself, but sometimes intimidation can work. I'll tell you what, let's have a little fun. Let's try and intimidate this guy up in front of us and see what happens, shall we? Come on, pig nose! Hey, cheese face, move that car! This gentleman appears highly agitated. As you can see, courtesy sometimes pays big dividends. Yeah, that's fine. Will you stop? The bit is over. Will somebody stop this guy? Who is this guy? Hey! You know, the nice thing about this car is it's got a switch on the dash to go from normal to Boston specifications. First, let's try the normal horn. Not too effective. Let's switch to Boston, shall we? Kind of gets your attention, doesn't it? How about signal lights? Your normal signal light? Doesn't do too much, kind of like standing in the middle of Commonwealth Avenue with a lit match on a sunny day. Nobody's going to notice you. Let's try the Boston signal, shall we? Look out, I'm turning left! Look out, I'm turning right! As you can see, another Boston innovation. You know, someday, all cars will have these specifications. In Boston, that day is today. Happy motoring. Look out, I'm turning left! And remember, no matter what they may try to do to your car, tickets, towing, harassment, there's one sure way to beat them, and that's to do what I do. Keep an eye on your car. That's right. Whenever you park illegally, do what I do. Go out, look to the left, look to the right. You don't see any police or tow trucks coming. You know you've beaten the system, just like Jay Leno on TV. That's right. I'll tell you something. They might get your car, but they'll never get my car. Good night. Thanks for watching.